This is a Christian Marriage Academy broadcast where we explore the depths of love and commitment in the context of Christian faith. The content you're about to receive is non-copyrighted material. You're allowed to share and spread the knowledge and empower others on their journey to build strong, Christ-centered marriages. And now, stay tuned for your host, Seth the teacher.
In Jesus' name we begin. Hey, greetings to you lovely people. My name is Seth, and I welcome you to our topic for today. Why do you want to marry? The purpose of marriage. Let's dive in. See, a lot of things happen to us in life that sets the outcome of our lives from each other. But what I can safely say happens to all of us is that we all start craving for love and relationship at a point in our lives. And so some of us start to date. We keep on dating on and on and on, especially in our adult lives. But at this point, a new feeling kicks in. We want to marry. But let me ask you this. Why don't we just keep on dating forever till we get old? Why don't we just pick one another, make babies, get bored, pick new ones, make babies, get bored, then on and on and on till we die? But rather, we want to settle down with one person and live with them for the rest of our lives. What lies in all of us that makes us want to make this decision? It seems there's an innate programming in all humanity that makes us want to marry, or at least have a long-term stable relationship with one person. And if all things go well, stay with them till we die. Yep. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the human nature at work. And so in this podcast, I'll try to teach you about the real purpose of marriage, the real purpose of marriage, its benefits, why you need it, and why you are doing the right thing if you are looking for marriage, and why you should prepare towards it. In the end, I hope to have clarified a whole lot of popular misconceptions about what marriage is and what purpose it's supposed to serve. Now, in doing a whole lot of research about marriage, I was able to classify all the purposes of marriage into two main groups. That is, 1, divine purposes of marriage, and 2, earthly purposes of marriage. That is, divine purposes of marriage and earthly purposes of marriage. Divine here meaning the purposes that deal with God, or that is related to God and divinity. And earthly purpose deals with humanity and how marriage benefits us as humans. And so in this part of the series, I treat specifically the earthly purpose of marriage, as in how it practically benefits us in our life here on earth. So let's begin. Considering the earthly purpose of marriage, after doing all my in-depth analysis about this topic, I was able to classify all the earthly purposes of marriage into two main divisions. That is, a cooperative environment for effective livelihood, and B, a cooperative environment for effective procreation. So what does these two statements mean? Now, cooperative simply means something that is done by two or more people cooperatively. They are cooperating, cooperation. They are cooperating towards one end to arrive at a particular goal. So multiple people cooperating in one environment for an effective livelihood. Effective here meaning achieving the highest result or the highest form of productivity and the highest form of success out of their livelihood. So A cooperative environment for effective livelihood, and B, a cooperative environment for effective procreation. These 2 points are the main umbrella benefits or purposes of marriage as it relates to us here on earth. So now let us tackle immediately the first point, that is a cooperative environment for effective livelihood. So now, under the cooperative environment for effective livelihood too, we can have multiple points of reasons why marriage is beneficial and useful to us. So you shouldn't start getting confused now. When we talk about marriage, we said the main classifications of the purposes for marriage can be divided into 2 main classifications, that is divine purposes and B, earthly purposes. And now we are tackling the earthly purposes, and in part 2 we are going to tackle the divine purpose, because I don't think we are going to be able to exhaust all the purposes of these 2 classifications in this audio. So now, a cooperative environment for effective livelihood. Let's get into it. So, dealing with the cooperative environment for effective livelihood, as I said, there are several points of benefits under this classification too. Let us start dealing with them, and we start by talking about the first point of benefit, that is a helpmate for life. A helpmate for life. This is the first benefit of marriage under the cooperative environment for effective livelihood. Now, let us talk about this point, a helpmate for life. So in Matthew, Jesus Christ was asked that, Master, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife based on just any reason? In fact, these guys tried to hook Jesus Christ to force him to answer this question in a particular way. So I think Jesus Christ did something which I'm going to also do here, and that is he went straight to Genesis. Because Genesis is the origin of life, Genesis is the origin of humanity, and Genesis is where we read about the origins of marriage. And Jesus Christ said to them, don't you know that in the beginning, when the Creator created them, he created them male and female, and he put them together and said that they shouldn't separate? You see, so let us follow the model of Jesus Christ and answer this question about marriage with Genesis, that is a helpmate for life. So when we read Genesis, after God created Adam, after some time, God looked upon Adam and said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. A helper comparable to him. And in the King James Version, it stated that a helpmeet as in help meet, M-E-E-T, is the same as helpmate. But with the New King James Version, he converted it into a helper comparable to him. So what is the meaning of this statement? Help meet or helper comparable to Adam. Because by understanding this statement, this is where we really get to appreciate the dynamics of the real relationship between men and women, or husband and a wife, as it exists here on earth. Now, the statement help meet or helpmate in the original Hebrew translates to Ezer Kenegdo. Ezer Kenegdo. And Ezer here, I think you've heard it before, as in Ebenezer, Ebenezer, which means stone of help. You see, so help, which is Ezer, and Kenegdo. And what is Kenegdo? Okay, so the Hebrew word Kenegdo means the coexistence of two things that are opposite but complementary to each other. They are coexisting and they are opposite to each other, but they complement each other in their usefulness. So this word Kenegdo has some form of, as I said, oppositeness, but still complementary to each other. because complementary here is the key to understand this. So even though these two objects coexisting together are slightly opposite to each other or different in appearance, but they still complement each other in what they are trying to achieve. Their differences don't set them apart, but their differences play together and work together to complement and to counterbalance each other in order to arrive at a common goal. So how can you understand this? By using real life objects or real life stuff. We can look at an object like scissors, normal scissors that we use to cut stuff. You see, scissors have two parts to them. These two parts may look a bit different from each other, as in they are reflected. In technical terms, we call it reflected, because each are facing the opposite side of each, but they are connected together. But when you want to use a scissor, you have to use both of these parts together in order to make it have the ability to cut. So these two objects or these two parts of the scissors are connected together, but they look different. As I said, in technical terms, they are reflecting each other. So if you separate the two parts of scissors and you lay each on top of each other, it is not really going to match, because one sharp edge of the other is located at a different point, or is located at a different side of the other. But when you bring them together and face them opposite, like face to face, they both come together to perform one type of work, that is cutting. And therefore, if you separate the two parts of the scissors, it can never function as it is supposed to function. Now, another object that we can use to understand the word kenegdo also is something like plug and socket. Plug has a different shape and it looks differently from the socket. The socket is basically a bunch of holes, and the plug, it looks some way. Well, I don't want to go into much graphics here, but you know what I'm trying to mean. But they come together to perform one function, that is to produce power and to power an electrical appliance. So kenegdo is the coexistence of two things to perform a cooperative work together to achieve one purpose. And so as we relate the word kenegdo to humanity, that is male and female, it's obviously clear that females have different body parts, the breast, the hips, the private parts, which are different from that of the males. And the males too have their own body structures and body shape and body type. But these two body differences come together to perform one goal in terms of their coexistence in life with each other. And this came as a result of what God said, that it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him, or a helper kenegdo to him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the origin of marriage. Now, what you must bear in mind is that human beings didn't create marriage, like how many people online say it, that marriage was a social construct created by our forefathers to solve a particular problem, and it has failed, and therefore we shouldn't stick to it anymore in the modern era, etc., etc., blah blah blah. But I can tell you that the origins of marriage didn't come from the creations of any human being or the society. It came directly from God himself, and Genesis proves that to us. At least, well, if you believe in the Bible like I do, we have the strong conviction that the Bible is the truth and is the word of God, and therefore whatever it says is what we derive the basis of our understanding from. Okay, so nobody was created for individualism. This is a fact. Nobody on this earth was created to live a separate individualistic life, because only God knows what he saw when he observed man and said that no, it's not good that man should be alone, and therefore I'll create for him a helper comparable to him. Only God knows that. And therefore, if you want to live your life as an individual on this earth, whatever consequences or whatever negativity that God saw in Adam as a single man that made him to create a helper for him, you must be willing to also bear that consequences of a single life. But what I can tell you is that the human soul increasingly demands a companion as we get older. People, bear this in mind. The reason why when you are young You feel like, I can live an individualistic life. I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, I can live forever like this. The reason why you are saying these things is that your body is filled with hormones as a young person. There are several hormones that are working in your body. We have hormones like the human growth hormone, HGH, and other hormones like DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and all these hormones working inside of the human bloodstream to keep your youthfulness flourishing and energetic. And so these hormones, if you don't take care, might give you too much hope and ambition to blind you to take wrong decisions for today, which is going to affect you tomorrow. But bear in mind, nobody was born for individualistic life unless it is maybe for specific calling which comes directly from God, that you are called for an individualistic life. But that too, I can assure you that is very uncommon. It's very specific. You have to be called for a specific task on this earth for which your singleness is going to play a huge role in. I don't think the majority of us listening right now are actually created for that. But what you have to know, nobody is born for individualism, and the human soul increasingly demands a companion as we get older. And as we get older, these hormones dwindle down and wash down further and further to the point that they get replaced with old age hormones, and we all of a sudden begin to express deeper necessity for companionship. So you can't fight this hormone when the time comes, and therefore you have to do what is necessary for today in order to save your tomorrow. So now let's talk about some areas where having a spouse or having a wife will be extremely beneficial or be at least useful to you as a person. So let's consider the area of professionalism. For professional men, having a wife is priceless in so many areas. And so having a helpmate for your life, your personal life, if you are a professional, let's say if you are an entrepreneur, if you are into entrepreneurship, a wife can be helpful to you in areas like, say, market research, where you have to do some research into the market to observe certain trends in the business and maybe observe certain loopholes in the business field where you want to invest into. You can give her the opportunity to research in that area. Say, if you want to invest in stuff like food products, and if you have a wife, you can give her the task of doing research for you in the area of, let's say, how many people buy a particular type of food during this season or during a particular season of the year. And she'll be able to do that if it's within her strength. And she can do other stuff like financial management, marketing strategies, and administrative tasks. And so she's going to be something like your personal assistant, and it's going to save you a lot of money trying to hire other people to get paid to come and do all these tasks for you, to put stress on your money. Your wife as your personal assistant can ease up the financial burden from you and make your life simpler and faster. That is your business life. And if you are, say, in medical profession, your wife can help you in managing appointments. You see, that is if you have a private practice or whatever, she can help you in that, managing appointments. Let's say handling paperwork, for instance, and coordinating schedules, which will really make your life easier as a doctor. And if you are in, say, the legal profession, a wife can assist you in doing stuff like organizing case files, doing legal research, which is very, very tedious if you're a lawyer. Drafting documents and all these things is going to really make your life easier as a lawyer or as a professional man. And a huge financial load is going to be lifted off your finances. And if you're a teacher, a wife can assist you in lesson planning, lesson notes. Yeah, lesson notes. I remember when I used to teach, lesson notes was one of the things which were very boring to do. Lesson notes were very boring, and I could put them down for a long time before I tackled them over the weekends. I can even tackle lesson notes Monday morning, early Monday morning, 5 a.m. as I wake up. It's very tedious. So if you have a wife with you, and if you are a teacher, your wife can handle these things. You can teach her, okay, so Angela, come. This is how we do the lesson notes. We compare from these pamphlets, this and that. We copy the information here, we copy this one here, your methodology, this here, and she can be able to do it, and you'll be able to have a good night's sleep. Which is very tedious. So that is teachers for you if you're a teacher. Also, if you're a teacher, your wife can help you in stuff like grading and marking. Well, that might be a bit not so easy for her to do if she doesn't really understand the topic. But well, you can maybe teach her to do your markings for you. Let's say mathematics. If she still remembers her mathematics topics, she can. You can bring the books to your house, and she'll be able to mark your papers for you. And if you are, say, an engineer, your wife can do quite a number of stuff for you in stuff like, say, research, analysis, drawing, designs, and all these things, proof, reading, documenting. Well, engineering is big, so it can be in so many stuff like drawing. If you have some drawing designs to make of let's say prototypes of devices or prototypes of engineering structures and construction stuff, you can teach your wife. Some wives are even more artistically skilled than the husband, so you can teach her, Cindy, can you come and check something out for me? You see, I'm trying to draw some design which relates to something like a metallic framework, you see, and if she's skilled at drawing, she can pick up the pencil and paper to do some sketches for you, to help you, and she'll be willing to do that. And if your designing requires something like a software to do it, like I know the engineers, they use softwares like AutoCAD and all these software, you can teach your wife to use these softwares, which will really help to make your work easier. So she'll learn these softwares and know how to design 2D or 3D structures with the software. And instead of hiring people to do these kind of work for you to drain your money, you can task her with that, and she'll be more than willing to assist you in that, you see. So if you are, let's say people like writers, whether journalist writers or let's say script writing, film script writing, you can give her the idea of the kind of story you are writing, you see. And sometimes as writers, there's something called a writer's block. That is, after spending a whole lot of time writing a particular script, your mind gets blocked and you no more have ideas. You start to lack ideas about how to write certain parts of the story, you see. And if you have a wife, you can say, hey, D, please come. I'm trying to write a dialogue for a particular scene of the film where these two people are conversing, sitting at the table and conversing. Can you help me to give me ideas about what areas of conversation they can have? Because my mind is basically blocked and I'm lacking ideas. With a fresh approach, she'll be able to come on board and say, why don't you let them talk about so and so? And you'll be like, I didn't even think about this. Thank you. You see, so this takes a huge burden off of you. And let's say if you are a filmmaker, you can even teach your wife how to edit, because editing is not that difficult. You just have to learn these editing softwares. And you can teach your wife to even come on set, to help you on set. She can help you there in different areas, like say clapperboard slating, or say continuity, you see. And you can even teach her how to do makeup on set. And she'll come on set and help do special effects and makeup. And these things are very practical ways in which a wife can assist you if you are, say, a filmmaker. And if she knows how to cook well, you can put her in the catering department. So she can be cooking and bringing it on set. And food is very important on set. And filmmakers know that. You see, all these areas are where a wife can be extremely beneficial. She can be handling something like hotel accommodation, hotel reservation, and all these things. So very important. All these are just few examples of areas where countless other professionals are utilizing the assistance of their wives. And I even have a friend whose wife does storyboards. She draws storyboard. You see, he doesn't know how to draw, and his wife is better at drawing than him. So very important. And all these are ways in which having a helpmate for your life is very, very important and very beneficial. And so for women, having a husband is the ultimate relief from stresses of having a job. Seriously. Having a husband relieves you from the stresses of having to deal with annoying bosses. And, well, why am I saying this? For me, my personal belief is that a wife shouldn't work. Well, I know some people might be wanting to lynch me, but this is the truth. But I don't want to go into it now. I have several dozens of topics to treat which are going to deal specifically with these areas. But as a woman, if you are lucky enough and you get a husband whose finances will be able to cover your livelihood and cover the family and cover everything, yeah, you are set for life. And you don't have to deal with annoying bosses, customer services, and all these things that are so annoying. You have to wake up, you don't feel fine, but you have to wake up early, stay in traffic and commute, go back and forth. So these things, if you are a woman and you are lucky enough and you get a husband whose finances will be able to do these things for you, yeah, you just have to focus on raising a family together with him. But as I said, I'm going to treat this topic in a separate podcast, and you get to understand why it is so harmful that the wife leaves home and the husband also leaves home, and both are out there going to work and the kids are at home being raised by the TV. So as I said, I don't want to go into it now, but as a woman, marriage can be a huge relief for you for life in terms of your occupational burdens. And also now, let's consider this. In the baby stage, in the stages where your child is a baby, having a husband with you is immensely useful. Seriously, I'm talking about the topic of having a helpmate for life, because taking care of babies are extremely tedious, and if you don't take care as a woman, it's going to overwhelm you. It's going to really overwhelm you. And by the end of the day, you end up being tired and exhausted and all these things. So if you have a husband with you and your husband is reasonable enough, he can assist you in a lot of things like changing of diapers, putting the baby to sleep, rocking the baby's cot or crib or whatever, bathing the baby, etc. So that you have some time to rest and you have some time to also do other stuff domestically to help the family. So this is very important, and it all falls under the area of a helpmate for life. I think these are the points that I'm gonna treat for now. Now, let's talk about the next point, which is a facilitator for purpose. We discussed a helpmate for life, and now we are discussing a facilitator for purpose. You see, we all have our personal life goals, callings, and God-given purposes in life. Some are able to reach these goals before they get married, but the majority of people marry in the early parts of their movement towards their goals. Especially for men, we tend to look for wives when our careers start to earn at least something good enough to cover our livelihood, and we still have some surplus money left. So typically, if a man is able to get an apartment, buy some couches, get a TV, etc., you see, this is when men typically start thinking about marriage and be like, at this point, I think I have extra money, and I can bring a wife into my life. And even at this time, your moms and your dads begin to pester you here and there and each now and then with marry. So men usually and typically marry at a point in life when their finances are yet to pick up, but they've not gotten to their purpose yet. So if you marry at this point in your life as a man, let's say you meet your wife and you make your wife aware that, baby, I want to go into politics. Let's say within the next 10 years. Let's say I want to end up being a member of parliament for our constituency, etc. If your wife is in support of this goal and she loves it, she would be immensely glad to support you. And so in times when you are, let's say, slacking a bit or being slow and lackadaisical in reaching your goals, your wife now will begin to motivate you, because listen, this is how the brain works. When you told your wife that you want to be a member of parliament, she will be visualizing the outcome of that lifestyle of the politician's wife, and she will be imagining it, how she's going to be treated in the community, how the family's finances is going to be upgraded, and all these things. And she's going to be really anticipating it. So it's just like how, let's say, if you order a taxi or an Uber, and it's stuck in the way coming and it's not coming, and you are still waiting. You see, you've pictured you being in the car and you reaching your location early. So if the car is not coming, you are in a hurry. You'll be calling the driver, aren't you coming, aren't you coming, aren't you coming? You see, and it's also like you order some stuff online and it's not coming. It's delaying in the delivery. You see how anxious you get and how expectant you become? Yeah. You'll be calling the company here and there, I've not received my order, I've not received it yet. The same way, after telling your wife your vision and your purpose and your goals in life, she will become so anxious for you to reach there. And you being the one who has the vision sometimes will slack, sometimes you become lazy, sometimes you become passive. But your wife will always be pushing you to reach it. Hey, so you don't want to be the politician anymore. Don't you want to do this, do that? You see, she will always be reminding you and pushing you towards that. And say, if you're an actor and you say you want to take your career to, let's say, Hollywood, you see, and you tell your wife that, darling, yeah, in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, I want to get to Hollywood and I want to be acting there. Your wife now imagines life as a wife of a film star, walking on the red carpet, having interviews and all these things. She forms a mental picture of all these wonderful stuff in her mind, and therefore she becomes a repository of motivation for you to push you. So if, let's say, you are slacking, yeah, she'll be reminding you each now and then, why don't you want to become the Hollywood star anymore? She'll be on you always to push you towards that goal. Say you are a bank teller, or let's say a bank cashier, and you plan to create your own bank in the near future. You tell your wife this idea, she'll be so much happy about the final state of your lives or of that marriage. She'll be anticipating how much money you guys will be making for the family and all these things, and she's going to motivate you each now and then towards that goal. You see, and even as women, as a wife, let's say you have the goal of being a singer. Don't you know that your husband can even manage you? You have a nice voice. Yeah, your husband can say that, oh wow, you see, I'm having an idea. Why don't you start making music? I'm going to manage you. I'm going to invest in your career. Yeah, and this thing is quite common. Some husbands of some singers are their managers, you see. So this is very important. So in marriage, you have a facilitator for your purpose. And in fact, your mother can be a facilitator for your purpose, because at that time, your mom won't be living with you. Your mom will be somewhere as an old woman, living her life somewhere. And how much even communication are you going to be always holding with your mom for her to even remind you? And having a mom as your motivation is not enough, because mind you, if you're a married man, one of your motivations in life is to make money to cover your family expenses and to take care of your family as a breadwinner. You see, so that in itself is a very great motivation for you in your life to rush towards your goals. You see, this is very, very important. And also note this secret. Because marriage was instituted by God himself, he blessed it. God blessed marriage. Now, in Genesis 1:28, it said, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, have dominion over every creature of the earth. He said, he blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. So the blessing that God gave them works in the area of one, being fruitful and also having dominion over every living creature. Now, having dominion over every living creature, we all know that blessing became true. If you see, let's say, a bird standing in the middle of the road and you are coming, the bird will take off, the bird will run away. Every animal fears human beings. So ask yourself, why is it that the bird standing in the road, a lizard will come to pass and the bird will just shift and let the lizard pass? But you being a human being, the bird will take off and fly away. Same thing applies to almost every animal on earth, because God has specifically blessed us to take dominion over every living creature on earth apart from us. And that is a special blessing that works in that area of dominating the earth. But what about the second blessing, the first blessing, which deals with the blessing of being fruitful and multiplying? Why do you think that blessing applies? this blessing applies in marriages. That is why if a man marries, oftentimes his financial capability increases. If you ask plenty married men this, they are going to confirm to you that I was a bit broke when I was single, but after I married and my wife came, my finances went up. I can give you several examples of teachers who married and their finances was a bit low, but after marriage, the kids started coming. Sir, we want you to do us extra classes. We want you to organize extra classes for us. And during the time that I was a teacher, I remember this used to happen a lot. All the married teachers, they were doing extra classes and they were making even double and triple times of the monies that they were making. And we, the young ones, we came and we wanted to compete with them and we weren't getting any money. You see, it's a special blessing that comes upon people who marry. It's a special blessing. And when you start giving birth, your finances even increases further. Because mind you, you are not taking care of the children or the wife. It is God who is taking care of these people through you as the man. So your finances and your financial status is going to increase after you marry. That is automatic. I can give you several examples. Even with my dad. My dad didn't even have a car when he was married, when he married at first, but he only got a car after he married. You see, it is a special blessing, and that blessing is the blessing that God gave to us, that be fruitful and multiply. And therefore, if being fruitful requires you to have more resources and elevated finances, then God is going to make sure that you have more resources so that you'll be able to obey the commandment of being fruitful to multiply. So this is not your doing. It is God's own blessing at work here. And as men, you have to take note of this. This is very important. So as a man, having a wife in your life facilitates you towards your purpose. Is very true. Take note of that. So let's go to our third point under cooperative environment for effective livelihood. First of all, we discussed a helpmate for life, and we now discussed a facilitator for purpose, and now we are going to the third point, that is an anchor for life. Having a spouse in your life will serve as an anchor for your life. So now listen, life is filled with circumstances beyond our control. Very true. Some are difficult, some are painful, some are traumatic, some are joyous, etc. And all these life circumstances are better handled with another person being present in your life. This is a fact. Some too are tragic, like loss of family member, like a mom or dad, serious illness, injury, or say a life-altering diagnosis, or let me say even natural disasters like earthquake, hurricanes, and flooding. Just recently, we remember what happened in Turkey and now in Florida. All these tragic life situations could happen to anyone regardless of who you are. And it's not because of you marrying that all these tragic happenings are happening to you. No. Life is filled with all these tragic happenings on its own. And having, let's say, a wife or a husband to support you as a life partner through these struggles and through these circumstances in life, you are able to collaborate to at least overcome or lessen the impact of these tragedies. And that is why God, in His own grace, gave human beings two brains. We have two brains. You see, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, with the left hemisphere working in areas of technicalities and intellectualism and mathematical abilities and all these technical analysis, with our right side of our brain handling stuff like emotionality, visual imagery, arts, love, and affection. You see, these two parts of our brains are joined together at something called the corpus callosum. Well, I don't want to go into science now, but these two brains of human beings come together to solve problems for us when things get difficult, when solving certain problems get difficult for us. Let's say you are trying to read a handwriting, and the handwriting doesn't really look too clear. Your left side of the brain is trying to understand the language of the writing, but the right side of your brain is trying to decipher the physical looks of the writing, how the shapes and the lines are drawn, trying to discover and decipher whether this is an R or a T or whatever. So by the end, these two brains come together to solve your problem of trying to read difficult information, you see. So it's very important. collaboration is very important. That is why God gave us two brains, or two parts of our brains, to help us in our daily work. So now let's consider the fourth point under cooperative environment for effective livelihood. Now, and that point is a medium for self-improvement. Now, listen, the majority of people in this world grew up to be poorly compatible with other people. And this happens because of, let's say, parental upbringing, natural inborn character traits, or even by artificial adopted attitudes and lifestyles. It still remains true that almost all of us have certain unpleasant personalities that makes us not so compatible with other people. This is very true. So you have characters like quick temper, you see, harsh speaking, rudeness, ungratefulness, hatefulness, you see, and stuff like inability to bear criticism, quarrelsomeness, combativeness. All these are characters that harm people close to us. It makes us poorly compatible with them. But what about some other artificially acquired attitudes, like say hanging out all the time, overindulgence in friendship, smoking, and addiction to drugs, even addiction to even spending money, spending and never saving. These two make us very difficult to deal with. It makes us very difficult for people to deal with us. So marriage can serve as a very powerful environment to force us to change. And how does this happen? This happens when our flaws, or the flaws in our character, begins to rub against the personalities of our spouses. So they begin to point out our flaws. No, listen, Kwaku, you like spending too much. Don't you know that it's going to affect our future? Kwaku, you always hang out. I don't like it. So John, listen, don't you know that yesterday when we went out and you were shouting at me in the market, everybody was looking at you? You don't know that, didn't you see? You see, you are disgracing yourself. And now you become self-aware that, oh, okay, this is my problem, and I have to now control my temper, or watch how I talk when I'm in public, or watch how I talk generally, and be a bit temperate, you see. So marriage forces change on us because our partners have the liberty to point them to us, the flaws in our characters to us. Because mind you, you have taken vows to stay together forever, for better, for worse, till you die. So this motivates you to not do at least anything that is going to jeopardize the long-term happiness of that marriage. Yeah, and I'm going to treat that topic later on. I have it written down. That is what happens in the ceremony of marriage. I'm going to treat that topic. So it's very important. So here, marriage is serving as a very powerful environment to force us to change. And it's also serving like something like a container in which transformation is brewed within an individual, just like how our scientists, they perform their experiments. They put some chemicals in containers and they close it, and the chemical reaction occurring in that container will cause the transformation of the raw materials of the components to transform into other chemicals. So you see, marriage can perform in that area of transforming and improving the flaws in our life. That is towards self-improvement. So now, also there's spiritual improvement. Spiritual improvement too falls under here, but I'm not going to discuss it. I'm going to discuss it when we get to the area of the divine purposes of marriage. This is where I'm going to do it in maybe the third part of this series. So yeah, now let's move to the fifth point under cooperative environment for effective livelihood. Now this is the area where almost nobody considers when they enter into marriage. It deals with medium for lineage and wealth preservation. Medium for you to preserve your lineage and also preserve your wealth. As I said, this area almost nobody considers it when they enter into marriage. This is because our modern society has made us to become so individualistic and short-sighted that in anything we do it for ourselves and our temporary needs only. We can't even see past ourselves to even think about our next child. But you see, some people know this and they think even as far as their future descendants, and they make plans towards them. And therefore, such people are always going to rule over us. And they don't just marry for any reason at all. They marry with purpose. So when you go into this topic, you can talk about people like, let's say, the House of Windsor, which rules the British Kingdom right now. The House of Windsor, the House of Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth, the House of Windsor. Ask yourself, why is it that Harry and Meghan Markle, they were so much ostracized and so much spoken against in the family? They know what they are trying to preserve in the family, and I'm going to go into it later on. But you can also talk about families like the House of Rothschild in Europe, who owns almost all the banks in the world. The Rothschild banking family, people know them, and I don't want to go much into them. But you can also talk about some families like the Vanderbilt family, who were the owners of shipping industry, you see. But well, I don't know where the Vanderbilt family, what happened to their family fortune. But yeah, they are still there. And this CNN news anchor, Anderson Cooper, he's from the Vanderbilt family. The Vanderbilt, he's part of them, you see. So they put their family members into certain top positions in the world. So now you can talk about, these people, the Rockefeller family, who ruled the oil industry for many years, and they are still ruling. Rockefeller Foundation and all. I don't want to go into this family. They've done a lot of things to destroy a lot of things, but I don't want to go into them now. But it's a family who have preserved their lineage for many years till now. And it's not just them alone. When you go to Europe, that is Italy, you have families like the Medici family in the 1500s, who were electing even popes. The Medici families in the 1500s, Pope Leo belonged to this family of the Medici family. These things are history, you see. And you can talk about people like a family like the Farneses of Italy. And this is the family where Pope Paul III and Pope Paul the Fourth came out of, the Farnese family. These are families who were electing popes, and they made sure that the lineage of the popes stayed in their families. You see, the Medicis, the Farneses, even the House of Borgia. You do your own research. I think maybe I would later on find certain images and send you for you to see these things that I'm talking about, like these families. And they are still ruling the family, the Pope lineage, and they do that, through marriage and preserving their family lineage and legacy. Now, listen, don't you even know that even crime families like the mafia crime families? Do you know Michael Francis? This guy is quite popular on YouTube. He was part of the mafia crime syndicate, and he used to be a mafia boss, and his father was Sonny Francis, and he made sure that he preserved that lineage down to his son. Even the criminals, they know how to do these things for themselves to preserve their criminal lineages down. So what are we doing? You see, people, what are we doing? And for what purposes are we marrying? And why do we see people and say we are falling in love with them? And towards what purpose? You see, and you have certain business families like this one, the Johnson family. The Johnson family. These are the S.C. Johnson. I'm sure many of us have heard S.C. Johnson & Johnson. They are the family who makes Raid and so many other products, you see. And it's not just them alone. Almost every major multinational company is run as a family business, and they do so by preserving their family wealth and family lineages. And when you come to place like Ghana, we have the Adodankwa family and all these things, but I don't want to go into this. But these are political families, and they have been preserving their lineage down. But many of us, we don't even marry with accomplishment in mind and trying to preserve our accomplishment and our achievements. You see, so imagine this: you are a young man, you make money, you make money and build some businesses. What is your next goal? Is that all? Is that where it ends? You find some girl with nice body shape and that's all? You marry her, that's all? No. You should be thinking about these things, how to preserve your wealth, preserve your lineage, and pass it down to your descendants. But I'm going to tackle this area again from a mysterious angle in part 2 of this when I talk about the divine purposes, and you get to know that these families, they preserve something else. They also preserve something else through their lineages, which makes them continue to maintain their power down through history. So yeah, now let's go to the fifth and the last point under cooperative environment for effective livelihood, and that is marriage being the best place to handle old age. This is a sixth point. Marriage being the best place to handle old age. So people, let me ask you, can you imagine being old and lonely as a 60-year-old, 70-year-old man or woman? You see, ladies, how old is your mom? Is she still together with your dad? If not, then ask her how it feels with no man in her life. At least that will give you a better perspective on life in your old age as a woman. And maybe that will motivate you enough to take your future marriage seriously. Because when it comes to old age, women have it the worst. Old age is worse on women because you have the menopause, you have hormonal shiftings here and there, loss of your beauty. You get old and people see you as a woman, and if you tell them that you've been once beautiful and there's no evidence to even show your beauty, they can't even believe that you've been beautiful before. So all this beauty that you invested in your youth, a time will come where you are going to lose it. That in its own is one of the biggest area of sadness for women. That is losing their beauty. And women naturally are physically feeble and weak, so in their old age it's worse for them. Because when it comes to men, you see, old men, they like to congregate. Old men like to congregate under trees, play games like Dame, Ludo and all these things. Old men love the idea of spending time together. But, well, I can say that for old women. Old women are more isolated. So marriage is the best place to deal with old age. Moreover, as we get older, we desire more and more for personal companionship. Because old age is painfully boring. Seriously, old age is painfully boring. You feel like crap, you look like crap, you can't walk, you are always tired all the time. You eat, you come and sit outside, catch some fresh air sitting there, you come and sleep. You wake up, you watch TV, and you are just sitting there waiting for night time to draw for you to just sleep. Again, old age is very boring. And when you have some illnesses, let's say some medical conditions attached to you in your old age, it's so devastating. And this is why parents often start craving for grandchildren at certain points in their sons and daughters' lives. Because when they reach that old age, they crave for somebody to be with them, you see. So having a spouse with you in your old age, especially a one with whom you've built a friendly bond over the years, old age is much bearable and enjoyable that way, instead of being taken to old people's shelter. Well, in Ghana, there's nothing like that. So yeah, but still, having somebody with you to spend your old days is very important in this area. Yes. So that will be all for the cooperative environment for effective livelihood. These are the points that I was able to come up with. That is for the area of effective livelihood in your life as a married person. So guys, I think this session is getting quite too long. I want to always keep my audios below the 1 hour mark so that the sizes won't be too big for you to download. So I'm going to end here. So in this part, we treated the purposes of marriage as having two main groupings. That is, one, divine purpose and earthly purpose. So under the earthly purpose, we considered the area of marriage being a cooperative environment for effective livelihood. And I said the next point under the earthly purpose is a cooperative environment for effective procreation. So I'm going to treat the procreation in the next episode to preserve the 1 hour mark. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm reminding you that by the close of this year, I'm going to go live. I'm going to go online and hold live teaching sessions, and people, it's going to be great. It's going to be quite something else. Yeah. And this is where I'm going to initiate the vetting program, where I have one-on-one online communication with people who are seeking their spouses. I'm going to have personal communication with them, vet them, and when we reach a specific number of applicants, this is where we organize the grand get-together, where we all meet, and if God graces you enough, you'll be able to get a spouse from there. So that is very important. It is a personal initiative that I have set upon myself to help people with. So this is very important, and I'm going to do that when I come online, when I start to broadcast my live streams. In the live streams too, I'm going to hold online counseling sessions, phone-in sessions. Well, I don't want to disclose much secret. It's good, but it's going to be great. It's going to be really, really, really awesome. So I think I'd like to end here, and I hope to catch you in the next episode, where we deal with marriage being a cooperative environment for effective procreation. Bye.